Sick. Really, if we wanted to see what it sounds like with guitars, we just drag this up and change the color so we don't get confused. And if all is correct, what is going on, homie? As you can see, I'm in a new spot, but I have been inspired by the new Thornhill. And so let's see if we can write like that. All right, I have two things in here. I have this really cool arpeggiated sound, and I just quickly made a drum beat using, see, I got a new toy. Shout out Scott and Eddie. Thank you so much, dudes. Anyways, so the drums that I'm using are Giga Drums One Kit Wonder New Metal. The guitars are going to be Apex, going into THU from Slate. For my bass, I'm using Architect's bass, going into Parallax. I realized that the new Thornhill is very dancey, very Deftonesy, very dancey, which I love. But what's cool is the drums aren't too crazy. And so pretty basic beat here, but it sounds good. You know, doesn't matter if it's basic, if it sounds good. And so you could see I laid down the kick and snare, and then I just kind of tweaked it, added some ghost notes, and then like these opening crashes here, but pretty basic. Next thing I want to try to do is let's add some sort of bass sound. Now, I think what the easiest route to go to, and as you know, I always try to go for low-hanging fruit here. I'm going to be playing in D, and so let's go to D1, and I'm just going to do that. We'll just see what happens. I believe we are in 16th notes. Let's see what that gets us. That's pretty sweet. So now from there, since we are on D and we're just 16th notes, we could start to move this stuff around. I think that adding octaves and maybe going a step up, half a step. Maybe this. All right, let's put it in there and see what it sounds like all together. Sick. Really, if we wanted to see what it sounds like with guitars, we just drag this up and change the color so we don't get confused. And if all is correct, sick. So first part I feel like is done. This is like an intro part. Again, very, very simple. Now we can start with the bass or we can start with the guitar. We're already starting to go horizontal, which is sick. So let's see where this gets us here. Okay, so let's just stay there. Now I feel like this might go twice. We can worry about the fine details of like the drums and what the drums are doing later. And I'll probably be doing that later today on stream. And so come by later on YouTube or on Twitch, and we'll be messing with this more for sure, dude. Okay, so maybe here we can add some sort of lead sound. I feel like that's good enough. So I didn't hit record, but the little box up here, you click this and it puts it in there. So I think we get rid of this one, and I really just wanted to see where I was at, so I'm just going to do this. Sweet. So we have the intro, just the guitar and drums, and then we have the all in. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually make a new MIDI track, Control-Shift-T. We're going to put it at the top, and we're going to name this structure. So then I can just kind of be proactive. I'm going to name this intro, or we can do song start and then intro 2. Just so you know that that's 2 bars, intro 1, intro 2. Something like Silver Swarm, this is the verse, you know, the intro is the verse. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a little bit, so kind of like here, I'm going to leave a blank spot. Sort of like in Silver Swarm. So we'll keep this here. We'll keep this synth going. And honestly, if we wanted to, we can have this be our verse. Because again, it's sort of like that in Silver Swarm. So again, we're continuing to go horizontal, and we didn't do a ton of like work. And so now let's start to think about maybe like a pre-chorus. So we'll label this pre-chorus. And then maybe we can start to think about what sort of things we want there. Maybe we can do like a chord, some sort of like power chord or something there. Okay, so I found some chords, these three. So I think in order we'll probably have them like this. Just got to figure out where they want to go. And I kind of want these to just kind of legato out. And so for now, okay, I have something rough. Before I start to overthink it and think that it sucks, let's add a bass to it and see if it works. That's not bad. We have guitars and bass. Ba, ba. What we could honestly do for now, just so we could kind of try to stay in that same theme of Thornhill, we can figure out where these accents live. And I'm just going to probably for now, let's unfold. And I'm just going to put them here so I know, okay, this is where they land. Probably do something like this. So I'm just going to grab all of this, delete, and then I'm just going to put this on the drums. Okay, let's just try to accent these cymbals here. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to do this. This could probably work. Let's still keep in that dance sort of thing here. I'm going to try maybe pedal hats, see what that does. We can also try... Not horrible. I'm not fully sold on this part yet, but I'm trying to see if I can salvage it. If not, we just put it aside and we try again. But I'm going to keep this in the video because I think that this is important to see. Okay, so I want to add some sort of pad here maybe. We already have like sort of a pad part with our lead, but maybe we can add something else. Maybe not a pad. Let's see what this is. That's a nice layer. Again, it's going to be in the background, and so I'm not too worried about... We can mess with it later, right? We can start to change notes. Okay, so I'm liking that part more and more. Will it stay at the very, very end of the song's completion? Who knows? But it's going to continue us forward, and so this is fine for now. Let's add a quick strum to this, just so it's not stagnant, and then I'm going to add randomization to the velocities there, and then we're just going to dupe it. The thing with this part is it's feeling like it is a chorus already. And so just to test that theory, I'm going to duplicate it over, and then I definitely want to change these chords. Actually, maybe not. What we'll do is we'll change the drums. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to record something. And the way that I record is very do as I say, not as I do. Because there's so much latency in my session because, you know, this thing is mixed and I'm also in Bluetooth headphones. And so what I tend to do is I'm going to mute the drums and I'm going to hit record. But I'm only listening to the click and then what my fingers are doing, right? Okay, so here's our beat here, but you can see again, it's very delayed, but I'm not too worried about that because when I bring it in here, it's fairly on time. I'm going to quantize with Control U. That's not bad. That's not exactly what I played, but that's still pretty sick. So I'm going to set length here. Let's do a right hit. Let's see what the right hit does. That's not bad at all. I'm going to add a little quick fill here. One of my favorite fills. Now, what if I turn these into 16th notes? It doesn't sound the best by itself, but let's see what it sounds like in the mix. I'm going to turn these into 16th notes. Doesn't sound bad. Now, another thing we can try is just getting rid of these. Okay, so we have intro, verse, pre-chorus, and chorus. Now, they're very rough, very basic, but that's the point, man. The idea is there, the proof of concept, for yourself, right? I feel like half the time I'm like, is this even cool, dude? Well, it's like you're giving yourself, you're making sure you don't have enough time to get into that mindset and just continue adding parts. Now we're going to see if it's even cool. We're going to do a little bit of a context check. Now I'm going to continue working on this a little bit later today. And so come by the stream. Let me know if you hate it or if you love it, and if you have any ideas. That's the most important. If you have any ideas, dude, bring it with you to the stream. Really quick before we jam it, I just want to let you know that I do one-on-ones. So if you're struggling with anything, or if you just need help with something, I got you. Link for that's going to be in the description. And we go back into the verse there for sure. But the ideas are flowing, which is sick. All right, so that's going to be it for this one. However, I'm going to be working on this song a little bit later today, so make sure that you come by, dude. I'll be streaming. I stream every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Saturdays are special because we do community jams, and so if you want to know more about that, everything's going to be in the description. But I hope that this helped you, and I hope that it inspires you to want to try this yourself. All the links for all the things that I'm using are going to be in the description as well. Check out the Patreon. Patreon has a whole bunch of templates, presets. We do mixed walkthroughs every month, and so make sure you check that out. But until next time, dude, we'll see you soon.